Hey, Cool Gray. Well, I love comfort food. I'm sure you love comfort food. If you've seen any of my previous videos, like my meatloaf and my chili recipe, you know how important comfort food is. You actually didn't need my recipes to find out how important it is. You know that. What is the ultimate comfort food? What's the first thing that came to your mind? Was it mac and cheese? It certainly is for me. I have been eating this method of making mac and cheese my entire life. And there are a bunch of different ways to do it. Some people bake it in the oven, some people keep it nice and creamy and just mix their cheese sauce in the pot and serve it nice and soft. Some people put breadcrumbs on top. Some people use lots of different kinds of cheeses or mix it up in a bunch of different ways. What we're doing today is the method that I grew up with and that I still prefer because it feels like home to me and it feels like comfort to me. So as far as cheese goes, cheddar, cheddar, cheddar all day long. Sharp cheddar, that is the only cheese we're using today. And we are going to bake it in the oven so that it's not going to be a soft and creamy. It's going to be something you can cut into squares and serve firmly. It makes a very nice little side dish. Goes very nicely with my meatloaf. For comfort food on comfort food, what could be better? I'm getting so carried away. Anyway, simple, easy peasy, super duper delicious. Gonna take you along for the ride. This won't take long. Why don't you come along? Okay, ingredients. What do you need for mac and cheese? You need mac, you need cheese. That's what you need. So what I've got is some sharp cheddar cheese. My husband bought a giant block of it at Costco. I've grated about 2 cups worth of that cheese into this bowl, and then I've sliced some. This is going to go on top of the casserole just before we put it in the oven, and that's going to help hold it together and keep it kind of firm. Our pasta of choice, if you've seen any of our other pasta videos, and we will link to those in the description box, is Dreamfields, because it is magic. It will keep your carb count so much lower by orders of magnitude. So look that up if you're a carb counter. I've just got 2 cups of whole milk to start my cheese sauce, and that begins with a roux. So I've got 2 tablespoons of butter and some flour. I prefer this quick mixing Wondra flour when I'm making a sauce because it's kind of powdery and smooth, and it makes my roux come up super smooth. Let's get started. So I'm starting with my roux. I didn't used to make a roux this way, but I do make it now because when I used my recipe for a tarragon cream sauce, which you can find in my rotini with roasted vegetables and tarragon cream sauce video, which I will link to. There'll be tons of links in that description box. Don't miss out on any of those. It showed me to make the roux this way. I used to melt the butter and then add the flour to it, but that recipe told me to put both the flour and the butter in at the same time and to stir them. And this does seem to speed up the thickening process once we start to add our liquids. I'm not sure why or what the science is. It's mysterious, but you can see it coming together now, and it looks like maybe it won't work for a minute, and then it starts working really well as soon as this butter gets a little bit more liquidy, and then it'll start to puff up and expand, and you've got the beautiful beginnings of a thick and delicious cream sauce, which we are going to make crazy cheesy. So I'm just going to continue to stir this, and it'll take maybe a minute or so. And roux can go through several stages. We're going to keep ours at what's called the blonde stage. If I continue to cook this, see how it's kind of puffing up and expanding as those ingredients mix together. If you continue to cook it, it would go into a darker phase, and we're not going to let it go that far. We want a nice, delicate cheese sauce, so we're going to keep it blonde, but we are going to let it increase in volume a little bit here and start to bubble. The bubbles are what I'm looking for that tell me when it's time to introduce my milk, which is cold, but it's not right out of the refrigerator. You'd be better off if you let your milk stand on the counter for 20 minutes or so before introducing it, just to keep it from chilling this down a little too far. So looking for bubbles. Stirring the cheese sauce was my job as a kid while Mom was doing other things, because you do have to stand and stir constantly in order to get that thickness that you want. And that can take a long time. I do remember it seeming to take forever, but of course our perceptions are skewed when we're little kids. And this does seem to go a little bit faster once I've got this at a good bubble. The other thing that I'm doing now that I didn't used to do is when I add my milk, I used to add it all at once. But that tarragon cream sauce recipe was a life changer for me. It did say to add the milk a little bit at a time and to let that sauce thicken with each addition. And that also is a contributing factor, I'm sure, to how quickly this will come together. So I'm just starting to see bubbles. I wanted to get a slight bit more bubbly. I've got this on medium heat if I didn't mention it before. I don't recall if I did. Here we go. This is just starting to get where I want it to get. See it expanding and bubbling? That is what is going to make our sauce thick and delicious. So now I'm just going to add a little bit of my milk, a little bit, stir it around. It's going to thicken almost immediately. See that come together so fast. Now I can add a little bit more. And I'll add a little more than I did the last time. This is the same method I used in my tarragon cream sauce recipe until we get to the flavoring. So a white sauce is a white sauce, and then you go ahead and either sweet, savory, whatever you're gonna do. That's good and thick again, so some more milk. It does look a little bit lumpy right now, but I promise you that is all gonna smooth out. And this is going to be perfectly smooth and creamy and delicious. I added more milk than I did with the previous two additions, so it'll take a minute to thicken a bit. All my milk is in, and I've been stirring for a few minutes now. It's going to take maybe 6 to 8 minutes of stirring constantly. And I can still hear my mom advising me as a kid to stir in a figure-8 motion. It's just one of those little things that sticks with you forever. So I still do stir my sauces pretty much with a figure-8 motion to this day. Thanks, Mom. Mom's one of my biggest YouTube fans as well, so I know she'll receive that. This is just beginning to thicken. What I'm going to look for is a considerable thickening of the sauce. I can feel it with my spoon a little bit, and you'll notice that more and more it'll start to stick to the sides of this pan. It's not quite there yet. I want this to be most of the way to the consistency that I'm looking for before I add my cheese. I'm adding a whole lot of cheese because I want this to be super, super cheesy. So I want to make sure that that doesn't interfere with the thickness of the sauce. I don't want it to just be goppy and oily and gloopy. I want it to be creamy. So I want this white sauce to be most of the way finished. You see that's sticking a little bit more now. It's going to happen fairly quickly. Stirring in my sideways figure-8 motion. We don't want to stop stirring. Things will get nasty if you do, and we certainly don't want this to come to a boil. And you can see by the way the milk is moving around that it still has a way to go to get a little bit thicker. Alright, it's been another couple of minutes. You can see that the milk is sticking to the sides of the pot a little bit more, and the consistency, I'm not sure if you can see that the consistency is a little thicker, but I can certainly feel it and see it in the pot. I would say it's about 2/3 of the way there, and that's just about when I want to introduce my cheese. You do want it to have noticeably thickened, but not be 100% the consistency that you're looking for, but you want to look for that, see that little stickiness there, and a noticeable thickening. So this is just about right. I'm going to start to add my cheese, and I'm adding a lot of it today. And the grated cheese helps it to melt in a lot faster than if you put it in chunks. I think when I was a kid we used to cut it up into cubes. Let's see if I can I really don't want to stop stirring this for very long, but I want to get that cheese off my burner. And now we just want to bring this to a nice, smooth, even consistency and that beautiful color we're always looking for when we eat our mac and cheese. Now you see how that thickened again a whole bunch. This is going to be a very, very, very thick and creamy cheese sauce. See, it's super thick. It's still a little congealy from the oils that are in the cheese, so I want to stir it a little more and try to get that incorporated into my sauce a little bit better. But I don't want to overcook it, because then it'll seriously congeal and be kind of nasty. So I'm going to turn my heat off right now and continue to stir for a minute. I'm looking for a very even color, so I'm just going to try to get those ingredients to marry a little bit more, get that oil to stir in and become happily married to the rest of the sauce. And that really does depend on your cheese. I don't always have that experience where I can see the oil separating in the pot. It just depends on your cheese. Today we're using Kirkland sharp cheddar. All right, that's looking beautiful. Let me show you how beautiful that's looking. Look how beautiful that looks. We can set that aside now until our pasta is cooked. My water's just boiling. My pasta's drained. I'm just going to return it right to the pot that it came in. And I'm going to add my beautiful, thick, delicious cheese sauce right to the pot. Now this is where some people stop, and you could do that. You could stir this together, put it in a nice little custard cup, or fill your biggest bowl with it and be done. But we are going to bake it. So I want to stir this up really well so the cheese sauce is evenly distributed. And also, I haven't mentioned yet that I have always eaten mac and cheese with elbow macaroni, but I have seen it made with mini shells. Maybe you make it with another one. Please talk to me in the comments. Let me know what's different in this recipe to your own recipe. This is 1 pound of pasta in a 13 by 9 baking dish. It works out fairly perfectly. You could do 1.5 pounds if you want a thicker square, because this doesn't actually fill up the dish. Sometimes I use 2 pounds of pasta, and of course I have to make more cheese sauce to go along with that. And I do it in a big lasagna pan, so if you're feeding a crowd, you have that option too. Now I'm just going to randomly lay these thinly sliced pieces of my same cheddar cheese that went in my sauce, for those of you who love symmetry. And that's going to further help to keep this together. Now it's going to go in the oven at 350 degrees for about 20 minutes until that cheese is all melted in there, and we'll check it on the way out. That is a thing of beauty. This is going to sit on the counter until it cools off a little bit, and then I'm going to put this wonderful lid on it that came with this baking dish, and I'm going to put it in this beautiful insulated container because it is a gift from Mom. And I'm gonna talk a little bit more about that right now. So I just wanted to take a minute to say, I love my mom. She is the best mom ever. You probably feel that way about your mom, but I feel that way about mine. She is about to have her 4th surgery in as many years. So it'll be 3 spinal surgeries and a brand new hip. And it seems that she's always either recovering from or waiting for a surgery these days. So because of her discomfort while she's waiting for this most recent one, she's not in the kitchen cooking and standing up a whole lot. So I wanted to make the mac and cheese that she made for me as a child as a gesture of love, and also because she will be in the hospital for Mother's Day. This video is my Mother's Day card to her. I love you, Mom. You're the best ever. I hope you enjoy this mac and cheese. I hope you enjoy this video, and I hope you know how much of my heart you have. Thank you for giving me life, and thank you for giving me mac and cheese. If you liked this video, would you please let me know by doing this? Talk to me in the comments about your mac and cheese and about your mom. I want to hear about it. And please consider subscribing if you haven't already. On the main channel page, you can click the little bell, ding, ding, ding. It'll notify you when there are more videos, because you don't want to miss this. Check out some more videos while you are here. There are plenty of them. We do cooking videos and we do art videos around here. New content every week. And I will see you next time. Happy Mother's Day, everyone.